Jumping right in here, it's my cardboard that is it from a tissue box, and my pretty paper tag that has little tabs on it. I'm lining that up on the cardboard, and I'm going to cut the cardboard a little bit longer on the back side, and then cut out that V shape in the front without cutting off the tabs at the V there. So just take my scissors and carefully cut on each side. And then I can line that up with the tabs over top. Make sure that that lines up properly. Just check that out. Okay. And now I'm going to cut my paper bag, and this is a bag from the grocery store that I'm upcycling. And so I'm just going to line that up to the width that I want it and cut that with my kids' safety scissors there, which is my go-to in my sewing room. Okay, and put that away for later. So I'm going to fold this paper up to make sure that it's just sliding a little bit over past that fold and making sure that it's going to go underneath the pretty paper there. So, and then I want to bend that over to the back and just line that up. I don't want it to go to the fold. I want it to be underneath the fold because I don't want a lot of bulk there. So I'm just lining that up again. Make sure I'm in the right place. And I'm going to cut that down. All right, looks good. Just double check that. Everything's where it should. You can see there's a little bit of top of the paper there on the fold. Okay, now I'm going to do the back piece, which is going to be a separate piece. And I want it to cover the tabs from the front. So this is at the back, and I'm going to cut that point at the exact size there, and then cut off the excess at the sides. Just making sure that's a good fit, right size. Get everything together to get ready to glue it. Okay, now I glued a little too high here because I'm not leaving enough space for the paper clip there. So when you do it, make sure you don't put so much glue towards the top. Okay, live and learn. All right, so glue down these tabs and fold them over. Give a good press. Okay, now I can glue on the back, and I like to glue things in halves. So I'm going to glue the half towards the point there first and get that stuck down. And position that properly there so you don't see any of the white of the tabs there. And then I'm going to line that up, make sure everything's good. And then I'll glue the other, well, it's a little too long, so I'm going to cut that down a little bit more. And then I'll glue the other half of that backing piece there. And I also like to glue both sides of the materials that I'm gluing to. So I glue to the paper and to the cardboard. All right, looks good. Maybe a little. Now I realize that I put the glue on too high. So anyway, getting that lined up, ready to glue that piece on. Just double checking. It's a little too long at the side there. So I am going to line that up and then cut that down at the side. All right, Just double check it. A little bit excess on the side there, so I'm going to carefully cut that down. Just the side that needs to be cut. And we're ready to glue. So I'm going to glue the inside first. I'm going right to the edges there, and I'm gluing both the paper and the cardboard. And I'm using my special glue spreading tool there and trying not to make a big mess of things. There we go. Make sure that's getting stuck down and try to get those glue off my fingers before I touch it again. And I've made enough space at the top there to grab that paper clip. And I usually put the long side of the paper clip to the back and the short side to the front, and that works perfectly. Now I'm going to use a lot of glue to make sure that paper clip is good and stuck in there all around the paper clip, and the glue all the way to the edges on both the paper and the cardboard. Get that all ready to stick in there. And line that up at the top, and there we go. Stick that down. Okay, looks good. I'm gonna grab my bone folder, make sure that is all stuck down on the inside and the outside and the edges. Now I'm going to take this second tab and cut off the tabs there, as I want to cover up the back of the tag or the tab, whatever you want to call it. And so you don't see that, the outline of that paper clip on the back side. Before I do that, I'm going to grab some ribbon to stick out from the top. So dab of glue on the tag at the halfway point, another dab of glue to hold the ribbon together. And then I want to get that piece of paper stuck down on there to cover up the ribbon. So give that a generous amount of glue, especially at the sides there and the top where the ribbon's going to be. And get that stuck down. And go over it with my bone folder, and I can also ink the edges if you wanted to do that. So I'm taking a piece of wire and cutting that. Now we'll link the size of the wire below, making sure that's straight. Grab my first bead, it's a seed bead, and I'm going to grab my next bead, and that's just a little wooden bead, and then another seed bead. And you could put bead caps around the bead if you wanted to. So I'm going to take my round pliers and make a couple of turns there to hold those on. That will be the bottom part. And for the top, I'm going to grab my pliers and make an L shape, leaving a little bit of space above that bead where the wire wrap's going to go. So here's my round pliers. I want to bend that tail back and then twist my wrist and go another 45-degree turn there, and then go into the hole of the loop that I've just made and grab my needle nose pliers and take that tail around. And I want to wrap side by side so that the wrapping is on top of the bead, but they're not lying on top of each other. They're side by side. And it does take a couple of turns. You could cut the wire tail off after 1 or 2 turns. That's up to you. But I kind of like to keep it going. So I'm repositioning there, and there's still a little bit of the tail sticking out. So I'm going another half turn. Still not happy, so I'm going to squish it down. Okay, and that's what it looks like. And then I'm going to grab a bulb pin, B-U-L-B, and hook that on. And that's ready for wherever you want to put it. I'm just grabbing my bone folder to put it in between the 2 pieces and my awl, making a very tiny hole there and going through, making sure it goes through the top piece, but definitely not the bottom piece. And my bulb pin and my dangle that I made. And I'm going to put that through and do up the pin. And there you go. Cute little dangle on the side there. And then this can go on the edge of your page. And then the little bead dangle is out at the side of the page and looks pretty. I added some lace to this page, so it's an opportunity to also add a little bit of a dangle at the side there with my ball pin. And then that will look nice from the side of the book. And when you're turning the pages, you'll see it. I also like to add paper clips. So I would just use my round pliers and make 1 or 2 turns around to get that little loop on the side of the, and these are jumbo paper clips. And then I can add some ribbon. The yellow goes with the sunflowers. And I'm making the loop of the ribbon to go through the paper clip away from me so that when I pass the 2 ends through the loop comes over towards the front of the paper clip. And it doesn't really matter, that's a personal preference, but that's how I like seeing it.